two fine, handsome men from the province of Leinster joining us. Here we go, Michael. That should guarantee me a few tickets for next year, I'd say. Now, Seamus Howland, chairman of the Leinster Council. It's Carlo. And Carlo, with Kevin Ryan, the manager from the Mount Sion Club in Waterford. Carlo, of course, Christy Ring winners, will participate in the Leinster Championship. We look forward to who they'll be playing.
Laois.
It's Carlo against Laois. Niall Rigney is the man in charge there. There you see our preliminary round. It's Carlo against Laois. Good draw for those two counties. Now this canister contains preliminary winners. So I'm going to hand this now to the chairman of the Leinster Council, Seamus Howland, who will give it to Michael Delaney, who will put it into the bowl. We now have 6 teams in the bowl 1, and as we give them a good spin, remember we are now drawing for the quarter-final of next year's Leinster Hurling Championships. So give it a good spin there, Michael. And let's see who comes out.
Waterclee.
Dublin. Anthony Daly, the manager of Dublin. They got to the Leinster final. Who are Dublin going to be playing? Galway, Antrim, Kilkenny, Wexford all there.
Preliminary round winners.
And it's the preliminary round winner. So now we can see it's Dublin. This is very interesting. Dublin against Carlo or Laois. There'll be celebrations in all 3 counties. Let's keep going. They've avoided Kilkenny. So you're doing well, lads. Let's see who's coming next.
Buckgorman.
Wexford. Wexford go through. This is next round, and Wexford will be playing. Colin Bonner is the manager of Wexford. Galway, there's an interesting draw. John McIntyre's team. They did so well, of course, against Kilkenny. Do you remember that great game we had in Tullamore? As we move on to the next draw, let's see who's coming next.
Antrim.
It's Antrim. Managerless at the moment. But Antrim had Samba McNaughton and Dominic McKinney in charge last year. And Antrim will be facing who next?
Offaly.
And there's the draw. It's Offaly. Antrim against Offaly and Joe Judy. Now, let's have just a quick look at this. Preliminary round is Carlo versus Laois. And the winners of Carlo Laois, this is the Leinster Hurling Championship, in a quarter-final will play Dublin. Now, we're going to call them Team A. Wexford will take on Galway. We'll call those Team B, and Antrim will play Offaly. We'll call that Team C. We now move to the second bowl, where we have Kilkenny and the 3 quarter-final winners, which for the sake of simplicity, as you saw in our illustration, we will now call Teams A, B and C. So Seamus and Michael, give those canisters a good spin, and let's see who'll be facing each other, possibly in next year's Leinster Hurling Championship. This is where Kilkenny come into the frame, remember.
A.
It's A. Team A, and we'll tell you all about that in a moment. That's a good draw for Dublin, are the preliminary winners of Carlo or Laois.
Versus Kilkenny.
And they're going to be playing Kilkenny. So Dublin, Carlo or Laois will play Kilkenny in a Leinster Hurling semi-final. Let's go back to the bowl again. 2 counties, 2 teams left, 2 pairings. And we have
B.
B, that's Wexford or Galway. Colin Bonner or John McIntyre. And they're going to be playing, well, there's only 1 county left, or 1 pairing as such.
C.
And that's going to be C, that's Offaly and Antrim. So there we go. All the way you can see the Leinster Hurling Championship. The Leinster Hurling semi-finals will be Dublin, Carlo or Laois against Kilkenny. And in the other Leinster semi-final, Wexford or Galway will play Antrim or Offaly. That's what I call a really good draw. Michael.
Yeah, OK, so there you have the details then from our first draw of the evening. Michael Duignan is here with us. Michael, as Marty said, that's one good draw. That's one interesting draw, to say the very, very least of it. Last year people speculated about the possibility of a Kilkenny-Galway final. But the way this draw is structured, I'm not saying they'll both get there, but that's now a possibility, obviously.
Yeah, I think one of the big things of the Leinster draw being opened up, it throws up all these possibilities, and Wexford and Galway obviously never met in the Leinster Championship match before, so that's thrown up. I think Carlo and Laois being drawn together in the preliminary round is interesting. It's good for Carlo, maybe they didn't draw one of the bigger powers, and you know, as you say, possibility there, like Antrim and Offaly play Wexford or Galway, so they'll all fancy their chances of getting through there to a Leinster final against Kilkenny, who you'd expect to win. I think last year was interesting. Galway and Kilkenny was a brilliant game in Tullamore. Galway just beaten by a few points in the end. And I think Dublin did very well in the Leinster final, only beaten by 6 points. So that's going to give the rest of the teams in Leinster some encouragement going into this year.
There's no doubt. I mean, I don't want to be jumping ahead there about talking about Galway and Kilkenny. Obviously, in the Leinster final, we're just kind of half speculating about it because Wexford and Galway will be interesting as well.
It will be interesting, and Wexford are going to fancy a chance there, but really on form from last year, you'd expect Galway and Kilkenny maybe to get through to a Leinster final there, and maybe that's the one that would draw the biggest crowd to Croke Park. But you never know the way it'll go. After you come with a young team, and Antrim need to get the management sorted out fairly quickly. Obviously, there. Yeah. But it's interesting. I think it gives everyone a possibility of making a Leinster final next year against Kilkenny, and that's all you can ask for. That's
all you can ask for. Okay, next up here on the programme, it's the Munster Hurling Championship draw. Now, another summer of twists and turns in the Southern Province, but in the end, Tipperary held on to their title.
It's Tip's 7th final in 9 years, Waterford's 5th of this decade. Here's a chance, Callanan, a goal for Tipperary! And still there's a problem, and still there's another goal! And Tipperary have retained the Munster Hurling Championship title.
A different province and a different type of draw as we move to Munster. There are 5 counties competing for the honour and glory of Munster hurling: Clare, Cork, Limerick, Tipperary and Waterford. Kerry is the only exception. The first 3 teams out of the drum go straight through to the semi-finals. The first 2 teams will play each other in the first Munster semi-final of 2010, while the 3rd county will await the winners of the province's only quarter-finals. All of this means that the 4th and 5th teams emerging from the bowl will have to face each other in the province's only quarter-final. I'm delighted to welcome Jimmy O'Gorman, the Chairman of the Munster Council, and Enda McGrath, the newly appointed Assistant Secretary to the Munster Council, here to our studio. It's great to see a fellow West Clare man here as well. Roll the bowl and let's start the Munster Hurling Championship draw. Now, the Munster Hurling Championship is a very, very special championship. So here we have the first team out.
On Clare.
Clare goes straight through to a Munster Hurling semi-final. Mike Mack is the man in charge. We'll see who Clare are going to be playing. And Clare will take on, in the first Munster semi-final, will it be Tipperary, Limerick, Waterford? What's it going to be, Jimmy?
Port Lorgan.
Waterford. Clare versus Waterford. That's going to be an interesting semi-final as Davy Fitz goes back to his native roots. Third team also goes straight through to the semi-final. And who's it going to be? I'm sure you're happy with that draw, Jimmy O'Gorman. Waterford and Clare. Yeah, I knew you'd be smiling. Coming up, Justin McCarthy's Limerick. And they go through.